all you beautiful people out there. What's going on? The Digital Dungeon Master here, and I'm going to give you my first impressions of the new Paizo game, the sci-fi, that's right, I'm saying sci-fi role-playing game called Starfinder. As you can see on the banner above my beautiful hair and my beard. So Starfinder, guys, my first impressions. First off, I didn't have high expectations going into this. There's a couple of hurdles that if I want to invest into a game, there are a couple of things that for me as a consumer, I have a couple of prerequisites before I start buying a bunch of stuff. So the first thing is the whole rule set. And that was one big thing for me, because if you've been a member of my community for a while, you'll know that I respect Pathfinder, but I'm not a big fan of the mechanics, and I'm not a big fan of the rule set. It's a beautiful rule set, don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on it at all. And in fact, in many ways, it's far superior than Dungeons & Dragons, coming from a lore point and a reference material point. Far superior. Everything is in much more detail. But combat can get bogged down. You know, I just didn't like all the attacks of opportunity, all the different combat maneuver bonuses and defenses and confirmation on rolls, although I understand why there's confirmations with the high crit ranges and whatnot. But it just wasn't for me. So I didn't have high expectations. So I was thinking, is this game, Starfinder, gonna be a spitting image of Pathfinder and a spitting image of the 3.5 OGL? And surprisingly, no, it wasn't. And I actually spent a good part of the weekend when it came out. I picked up the PDF, which is only $10. I mean, the entire 563-page core book is $10. Is this really Paizo? Paizo usually charges an arm and a leg for PDFs. I've spent $50 on map packs before from them. Emerald Spire, meaning. So I saw $10 and I was like, wow, let's check this out. So I bought it. And I started, the first thing I did is I went right to the mechanics, and there are a lot of changes. And I am in no way, shape, or form a professional Pathfinder Dungeon Master at all. But I could see a ton of changes. And for me, being the huge D&D fan that I am, the Savage Worlds fan that I am, it's a much more rule-like setting. And I'll get into that in just a little bit. So that's one hurdle that I had to overcome before I start buying books and stuff. So, yeah, it seemed like it was going to be a very rule-friendly game to play. It would be good for players. It'll be good for players trying to get players from 5e, because now that most of the players from Pathfinder have left and gone to 5e, I mean, it's just, the numbers are out there, guys. I'm sorry about that, all you true Pathfinder fans, but it's just simply the truth. And it's sad because I really like Pathfinder. I would like to see them continue on into the future. So the second obstacle that I have is it going to be fully supported? Meaning, is there just going to be a core book and this alien bestiary and the first 6 adventure paths, and then that's it? And then they just ride off into the sunset, and then we never see anything for Starfinder again. Is it going to be like that? Because if it's going to be like that, then I don't want to invest in that, and I would rather invest into something like a Numenera, which I already have. And that's a pretty good game, by the way, as well. But this video isn't about Numenera, it's about Starfinder. So is it going to be supported? And I'm going to be honest with you guys and gals out there, and pardon my language for saying this, but it looks like right off the bat, Paizo has gone balls deep in production for this game. And that's a good thing. I mean, they've got the core book already has come out. They've already had a GM screen come out. They've already had a combat tracker come out. with the erasable marker and stuff. They've got decks of cards coming out. They've got multiple map packs that are already coming out. They've got the new subscription plans out. It looks like it's going into full production, just like Pathfinder. And if they do that, and if they keep that model going, and I really hope they do, I think this game just has endless possibilities. I really do. And like I said, guys, this is coming from somebody that's not a huge Pathfinder fan. But this game is not Pathfinder, but at its core it is Pathfinder. So for Starfinder to entice someone like me to purchase their products, that's pretty good, because I am actually really picky in the games that I play. I don't play many games. I just don't buy games just to say, oh, okay, that's cool, let's try this. I mean, there's only very few games I play. I'll play anything D&D. I'll play Savage Worlds. I'll play 13th Age, Shadow of the Demon Lord, and that's about it. I'm pretty picky. But Starfinder, check and check. Check for, is it going to be supported? Yes, I think so, especially seeing that they have subscriptions out there and everything already. And check, is it like Pathfinder? No, it's not, which is good. And I think it's good because, like I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, you know, Pathfinder's lost a lot of players. And I'm just being brutally honest here. Pathfinder's lost a lot of players going from Pathfinder to 5e. So I'm sure when they started thinking about creating this game, they were probably saying, hey, we need something a little bit more rule light so we can compete with D&D 5e and hopefully get back some of this consumer percentage that we've lost from the big slice of RPG pie that we lost. We need to try to get some of these people back and make our portion of the pie a little bit bigger. So if you're a virtual tabletop player like I am, another good thing about, you know, Starfinder is that it's going to be on Fantasy Grounds. And if you're not familiar with Fantasy Grounds, go to their website, check it out. It's a virtual tabletop. And, you know, if you know about Fantasy Grounds, it will have all the bells and whistles. It will auto-calculate everything for you. It will really spoil you. So that's going to be a great thing because Fantasy Grounds, they just announced it in their weekly newsletter that the Starfinder rule set is coming soon. And, you know, anything that Starfinder puts out, Fantasy Grounds is also going to convert it into a digital format, and you'll be able to buy all the alien bestiaries, you'll be able to get all of the map packs, you'll be able to get all of the adventure packs, and everything else. So if you play online, Starfinder is going to be fully supported by Fantasy Grounds. Now, as for the other virtual tabletops out there, like D20 Pro or Roll20 or any of the others, I have no clue. I don't even think any of the other online virtual tabletops even have a license. I think Fantasy Grounds is the only one at this point in time that has a license to produce content. So that's a plus too. And so I guess I probably could have said I have 3 requirements because I do play online most of the time. So let's talk about all of these massive changes that I noticed about Starfinder compared to Pathfinder. And I mean, these are noticeable differences. I took a look at Pathfinder Unchained a couple of years ago when it came out. And like I said, I'm not an expert at Pathfinder, so don't assume that I am. But I remember reading in Unchained how they streamlined a bunch of classes. I believe it was like the Barbarian and the Monk and stuff. And it seems like a lot of these changes are based off of Unchained. I could be wrong, but I really do think that a lot of these changes are based off of Unchained. So the things that I really noticed offhand is hit points. There's going to be a lower hit point pool. You're going to get hit points bonuses for your race, and I'm talking like single-digit hit point bonuses. From your race, you'll also get it for your class. But then there's another hit point pool now that they've added in the Starfinder called stamina points. And these stamina points are sort of like, I would see them as like a temporary hit point. So any damage that you take will be taken from your stamina points first, and then your health will be taken, your hit points will be taken. And then you go in to die. And then that's when the new resolve points come in. And I kind of see resolve points as inspiration in 5th edition, or maybe a Benny in Savage Worlds, or maybe an action point in 4th edition. It's like little perk points, and you can enhance your class features. You can basically manipulate dying, and you can actually stay alive. You can use these during a rest, and you can buy back your stamina point pools. So there's quite a few things that you can do with these resolve points, which is nice because it gives the players variety on some type of tangible point that you can spend. And I like that. So those are a couple of things that I noticed that are actually new. But then again, with the hit point situation, with your hit points and your stamina points, I think it might about balance out to where Pathfinder hit points would be. Maybe a little bit lower, but I think with the stamina points coming down first and then hit points, I think it kind of balances out. But the mechanic is unique, and I like it. So next, there's 2 different armor classes now. There's an energy armor class, which they call it EAC, I think. And this is the armor class that anyone that's casting spells at you or using any kind of like plasma gun or rifle, like I said, that will be taken from your energy armor class. And then your kinetic armor class, which is KAC, is based off everything physical, melee. Like slashing, bludgeoning, piercing, stuff like that. So there's 2 different armor classes. But yet there are still saving throws based on fortitude, will, and reflex, which will have to do with like spells and stuff like that. So there's still going to be those types of saving throws. Now, another thing that I noticed, which was like probably the best thing that I noticed, is there's going to be no more massive amounts of attacks every single round. Because in Pathfinder, you got a lot of attacks around the higher level you got, and in Starfinder, that doesn't happen. You only get 1 attack a round. That's it. Unless you do a full action attack, and then you will get only 2 at -4 per attack. So the maximum you're going to get is 2. And as far as I can tell, there's like no kind of haste or anything like that that's going to modify it over 1 anyway. So that's a good thing. That's going to speed up combat big time. When I played Pathfinder before, that was one complaint from my players. They felt combat was a little bit too sluggish, and it took a little bit too long because of the players got 3-4 attacks around, and also the monsters did. And it just kind of slowed everything down to almost a grinding halt. And a round of combat would take 30 minutes or so. So another big thing that I noticed are attacks of opportunity. And holy cow, there are 50,000 attacks of opportunity in Pathfinder in 3.5. In Starfinder, there are 3. Seriously, just 3 attacks of opportunity. That's it. There's one based on movement. If you kind of move within a threatening reach, if you don't take your 5-foot step, you get zapped. Perfect. Secondly, you'll take an attack of opportunity if you cast a ranged spell, if you're right up against something in their reach, or if you shoot a ranged weapon. So spells, ranged weapons, and movement. That's it. 3 attacks of opportunity. No more standing up and taking an attack of opportunity. No more lighting a tinder twig and trying to light your pipe, and someone 4 miles away is going to get an attack of opportunity on you. There's just none of that anymore, and I really like it. There's no more confirmations on crits. No more confirmations. So if you roll a 20, that's double damage. You don't have to re-roll. Of course, there's no crit ranges on weapons in Starfinder. No more crit rolls. Very nice. Everything is being sped up here. I even see that combat maneuvers, the combat maneuver defense has been taken out. The combat maneuver attacks bonuses have been taken out. There are still combat maneuvers, but now they are called actions. And when you perform one of these combat maneuvers, you attack I believe it's the kinetic energy class +8. So it's going to be a little bit harder to do a combat maneuver on something. And then I already mentioned the full round attacks. The other thing that I mentioned was in their free download with a bunch of monsters in it. The monster stat blocks are much more organized. I've been spoiled with 4th edition and other previous editions and 5th edition, where everything, all of these special abilities for the creatures are right there. I noticed when I played Pathfinder before, several years back, that I would have to look up a bunch of different special abilities, the extraordinary abilities, and I just felt that was just too cumbersome, and it just kind of slowed down the game when I would have to look stuff up. I'm not saying all creatures were like that, but a lot of the creatures that I was using were like that, and I didn't like it. So the stat blocks and the monsters have been streamlined more, and it looks like everything is there. I like it. I'm impressed with the modifications on the rules so far. So let's talk about this robust character creation that I mentioned. Well, you get a lot of stuff in this game, and I know that players, they love to get a lot of stuff. Players love to have a lot of choices. And Starfinder brings that to you, and they're very robust, lots of choices. Character creation. There are themes now in Starfinder, which I believe there are no themes in Pathfinder. And in Starfinder, these themes, which there are 10 of them, they are different things that you are, like a mercenary or an acolyte or, a diplomat, sort of like the backgrounds in 5th edition. And I like that because not only do you get to choose this theme, but you get an ability modifier bonus depending on the theme that you choose. And you also get at 1st, 6th, 12th, and 18th level, I think those are the levels, you get an ability feature for that theme too. And then if you don't even want a theme, you can go themeless and you can still get a bonus to your abilities. You can still get your 1, 6, 12, and 18 bonus for that as well. Or aliens. You can be the Lashintas, which are like a telepathic type of race. You can be a Sharon, which is like a walking insect, which is cool. You can be a Vesk, which is walking lizard men. They look a lot more beefier though. They're sort of like an ogre lizard men. Or if you want some cute little, I don't want to say Japanimation type of race, there's the Yasakis, which are like a mouse or a rat type of race. And then you get bonuses, just like in Pathfinder, you'll get racial bonuses and stuff like that. And then in the back of the book, there's some optional races, the more traditional Pathfinder races like the half-elf, the elf, the half-orc, the gnome, the halfling, stuff like that. So if you want the more traditional types of fantasy races, you can also have them. They're in the back of the core book. And then there's 7 core classes that's in Starfinder also. There's an envoy, sort of like I would say like a diplomat maybe. There's a mechanic. The mechanics are awesome. Mechanics can even build their own robots. And it basically almost uses the same rule set as like building a starship. And yes, in Starfinder, you can build a starship at level 1. Then there's the Mystic. The Mystic is like the healer of Starfinder. There's the Operative, which is, I consider that as like the rogue or the assassin or the sneaky sneak that you'll like to have, unpicking locks and stuff like that. There's the Solarian, which is like a hybrid class, maybe like a paladin or something like that. Then you have the Soldier, which is your full-on kick-ass, chew gum, take names and all that stuff type of class. And then there's the Technomancer, which is your mage type of class. So they give you a pretty, it's sort of like the same type of variety that you would have in Pathfinder, but with just different names in Starfinder or any other fantasy type of game. And like I said, there's lots of choices, there's lots of customization, because every time you go up a level, you get to choose something. So for your class, you'll get to choose from, these types of feats. So like for the fighter, you'll get like combat feats. Or another class, you'll get to choose between this selection of items. So there's a lot of choices in this game, and I like that. It's really nice, because I really feel that players like choices, and players love to customize their characters. And Starfinder gives you that. Not to say that Pathfinder didn't. I mean, Pathfinder did too, but I don't remember their class makeup system like this. But I do like the choices. And yes, all you min-maxing multi-classers out there, you can multi-class in Starfinder as well. They've even appeased all of you multi-classers out there. Not that there's nothing against the multi-classers, but yeah, you can multi-class. Pretty cool. Now, there's a couple of other things that I'm kind of dragging on with this, but it's okay. I'm excited about it. I really like it. But there's some other things. Weapons and armor. You can actually modify this stuff. You can actually put modifications on the armor. You can put a modification on your weapon. And there's a huge selection. There's like pages of this stuff. You can also notice that, well, you will notice that weapons are now by level. So there's level requirements on weapons. And there is a whole slew of weapons. Everything from rifles to lasers to plasma guns to energy blasters to grenades to bombs to all kinds of technology. And there's level requirements, but you don't have to be that level to use it. And that's how they've made up, in my opinion, just my opinion, this is how they've made up for the lack of 15 attacks around like in Pathfinder. Because the higher level that you get a weapon, I mean, there is a significant increase in damage. And I'm talking some of these weapons will do 10d8, 10d6. So the higher level weapons you get, it's going to make up for the lack of attacks that you're getting from Pathfinder. And like I said, you can modify the armor, you can modify the weapons. You can craft. It has a very detailed crafting section in Starfinder. You can get all kinds of computers, you can get drones, you can get all kinds of mechanical gadgets and gadgets. There's all kinds of magic items. There's a huge selection of cybernetic stuff. So if you just want to cut your arm off and get a cybernetic arm, you can do it. There's all kinds of serums, which are, potions in other games, but they're called serums here. And there's a ton of tools in the GM toolbox, which is in the core book, which is nice. All kinds of ways to create NPCs and to create traps, and it has all of the formulas, the static matrix formulas. There's no guessing. There's no ranges. It tells you. And the last thing is there's going to be a lot of ship combat in Starfinder, which I'm super excited about. And the ship combat uses hexes, which I'm actually glad about that. But it has a very detailed section on all of the mechanics in ship combat, how combat works, and you can build your own ships. You take a frame of a ship, and there are tons of classes of different types of ships, and then there's like multiple frames in each class. And then you take your base frame, and then you have a point-buy system to build in all your different departments and how many cargo bays you want, how many guns, and to the left and to the starport, Captain Kirk, my head is going to explode. But it's a very nice and very robust way. It's like a mini game inside of the game itself. So you're going to have to micromanage your ship, and you can always mix and match and upgrade stuff. It's great. I like it. So there you go, guys. That's my first impression of Starfinder. I actually really like it. And like I said, I didn't have high expectations going into this. But I am so glad that I took $10 and bought the PDF. I really suggest you guys take a look at it too. And I know some of you may be saying, oh, it's not pure fantasy. It's sci-fi, predominantly sci-fi, but it has a splash of fantasy, so it could satisfy some of you fantasy purists out there. But it's a great game. It's a solid game. It's going to be very rule-friendly. It's going to be new player-friendly, and I think this is a very smart move for Paizo, because I really think that they're trying to have a game that's going to be comparable to 5e. So great job, Paizo. Great job on Starfinder. I'm super impressed, and you have a new customer. So what do you guys think of Starfinder? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Have you taken a look at it? Let me know down in the comments section below. That's why it's there, right? So thank you guys so much for watching. I totally appreciate it. And until next time, keep gaming and keep it savage. Ooh, go Starfinder.